Good morning. I'm Thomas Michalak from the Center for Political Innovation, here to bring you your dose of revolutionary optimism for the day. But in particular, what I'd like to address is the overwhelming sense of cynicism and pessimism that permeates our society seemingly at all levels. Whether it be from the news media, whether it be from entertainment, we're constantly bombarded with messages of hopelessness and doom and gloom, so much so that people are willing to believe, without so much as a second thought, that Earth itself will not be habitable to human beings in the coming decades as a result of an impending climate catastrophe. But in particular, who I'd like to address is you, the kind of person who would be watching a video like this, the revolutionaries, the people who don't believe in the propaganda, the people at odds with the current order of things. It's even tempting for us to fall into these modes of cynicism. We may be tempted to believe that everyone else are a bunch of sheep, they're asleep, they'll never wake up, they'll never understand, and it's an understandable feeling. But I'd like to offer an alternative, something that's a sober analysis to the contrary, genuine reason to feel otherwise. First of all, we can look at a global level. We can look at the centers of resistance, whether they be Iran, China, Venezuela, Russia, etc. There are strong poles of resistance to imperialism, and they only seem to be getting stronger. But additionally, in particular, since the escalation of the war in Ukraine in early 2022, even the rest of the countries of the world, the so-called third world, the people who themselves are the colonies, so to speak, of the imperialists, even they themselves are breaking free from the sanctions regime and are attaching themselves to an alternative world economy free from imperialism. Much to the consternation of the imperialists, there seems to be a new alternative in the world undermining the imperialist system itself. A new paradigm. Something to look to for inspiration, and something for people in the United States to want to attach themselves to, and something for us to want our country to become in step with in order to be in harmony with the rest of the world. But all the optimism shouldn't just be seen as though it's abroad, something far off in the world. Even at home, people are increasingly waking up. To the extent that censorship persists, to the extent that politics seem to be, or at least official politics, seem to become even more stifling and constrained, it's commensurate to the extent that people here are waking up. People are waking up in many different ways. Even the election of Donald Trump in 2016 and all the ensuing political battles since then represent at least a shaking up of the imperialist consensus at home. It seems to be that politics is opening up in such a way that alternative views are so powerful that the powerful themselves feel the need to stifle them. That should be a point of hope for people living in the United States. That the bipartisan consensus of imperialism is breaking down, that new political formations, even the proliferation of conspiracy theories, whether they be QAnon, whether it be the MAGA movement, even a resurgence and interest in socialism and communism. In general, anti-establishment views are more popular than ever, and I believe that this is an opportunity for serious people who are interested in seriously intervening in the political life of our country and rescuing it from the ruin that imperialism would impose upon it. For the first time in a long time, there's an opportunity for us to change the course of history and rescue our country. And it may be tempting to think that, things are always going to be a particular way. Maybe we've never seen any meaningful change in our lives, and it's easy to think that things don't change. But anyone who studies the history of revolutions would know that anytime a revolution happens, just before it, people didn't imagine that it would come. But then when it does come, people knew that it was coming all along. It's sort of a strange paradox. For example, the French monarchy, prior to 1789, existed for 1,000 years. It seemed unthinkable that it would be overthrown. But when it did, it seemed like, yes, of course, its time had come. It was rotten. It had to fall. We're in such a similar instance right now where seemingly the imperialist system as we've all known it, we're in what I believe to be the Third Great Awakening in the United States. It was in the First Great Awakening, which led to the Revolution of 1776, which freed the United States from British colonialism. It was the Second Great Awakening, which led to the Civil War, the emancipation of slaves in the American South. And it's the Third Great Awakening that I believe will transform the United States from an imperialist country into one in step with the virtues of humanity, solidarity, and brotherhood. As Mao Zedong said, where there is oppression, there is resistance. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.